Hello guys and welcome to this series of learning for exam. This is the first video for this series as well as the first video for this whole channel. Now we'll be going over herpes simplex virus during this video. Now this video will be based on various mnemonics for herpes simplex virus so that we'll be able to write about it very easily in the examinations. This will not be an in-depth video and I recommend that you go through your textbook after watching this video. Now, how do you remember herpes simplex? Well, just associate it with an assassin. Now, how does it associate with an assassin? Well, we'll be knowing that by the end of this video. First of all, what does an assassin do? How does he enter? How does he work? Well, first of all, the assassin can enter from anywhere. They are that skilled. They can attack anyone. How does this relate to herpes virus? Well, they can enter through any part of the body and they can attack anyone. But they have their preferences. Similarly, herpes, they also have their preferences. Like they can enter through nasopharynx or genital contact or through skin above the waist and skin below the waist for HSP1 and HSP2 respectively. Now next on, how do the assassins enter? Well, they enter through the back door, which means your back door is related to the fact that back is retro. So they transfer by retrograde transfer in the nerves. Now, what do they do after entering? Well, they just hide and study the subject. Why? Because an assassin never attacks without planning. How does this relate to herpes? Well, it relates to the fact that they undergo latent stage. Now, where do they go to the latent stage? In the sacral root ganglia for HSP2 and in the trigeminal root ganglion for HSP1. Next off, what does the assassin do while he is in hiding and studying his victim? Well, he trains other newbie assassins. These newbie assassins are being trained. They are not that effective at killing their people, but they can become very much skilled if they are trained. So he sends them back. Sending them back is related to the fact that they go through back of retrograde way, which means antegrade way to the skin. And the next fact that they are not that effective means recurrent infection might be asymptomatic and is not as effective as the original secondary viremia. Now, moving on to the next one, we'll be going through the clinical manifestation of herpes virus. Now, we can remember this by understanding what a spy does. First of all, a spy maintains his secrecy. For this, he doesn't allow anyone to see them, notice them. He doesn't allow anyone who has seen them to talk about them. How does he achieve that? Well, first of all, he threatens them and also just injures their mouth so that they cannot speak. Now, how does that making them unable to see relate to? Well, it relates to the fact that their eyelids are having vesicular eyelids, which is because of inflammation. Now, next of cutting their mouth and threatening them is related to their mouth infections, and this can be remembered by first of all putting a sword through your mouth. When you do so, you'll notice that you will be infected touching your cheeks first, then your teeth and gum, and finally you'll be touching your tonsils along with your pharynx. I don't recommend anyone put the sword in their mouth, but this is just a way to remember. Next off, threatening can be remembered by the fact that they will be cutting their lips to remind them a lot. How do we remember it is cutting the lips? Well, if you have seen the movie Batman, there is a scene where Joker says, "Why so serious?" Well, it was damn scary for me, and I think that other people will also be scared if you do that to them by going into their home. Next off, this is all that the spy does in order to maintain their secrecy. What do they do to actually do their work? Well, they kill the head, they kill other spies, and they kill spies who are being trained. Now, how does this relate to the facts over there? Well, killing the head along with his bodyguard relates to the fact that they kill what is inside our head, which is what is that? There's cerebrum. Most of the time, the temporal lobe is what is affected most of the time as temporal meningitis, and killing other spies related to the fact that it damages our eye. How do we remember? How does it damage our eye? Well, just put a pencil into your eye. I don't recommend that again. When you do so, you will be touching your conjunctiva at first, which is related to the fact that there will be keratoconjunctivitis, and touching your cornea means there will be keratitis. And finally, when you put a pencil into your eye, you get blind. That's simple as that. Killing new trainees means killing newborns, and also there is genital herpes. These last two are the ones that are caused by HSP2, whereas other all are caused by HSP1. Moving on ahead, we'll be going towards the laboratory diagnosis, which is how do you find the spy? Well, first of all, you threaten to kill them, whether they come out or not. How do you do that? Well, you just use a tank. And next off, you can also do surveys, which is a better way, I think. And how do you do the surveys? Well, you check if they have any different behavior. You check their cell lines. You check them by poisoning them. What kind of poison? Well, you just use a poison which your people are immune to and the spy is not. If they die, they were a spy. If they don't, no loss. Though this is again not recommended. Next off, you can send Elisa to check for girls. Elisa can do a lot of things and she is very useful. Now moving on to the herpes counterparts of these things. Well, first of all, making them threatened with a missile is like using jank smear. Jank for tank. And there will be multinucleated giant cell and inclusion bodies. These two facts, I could not mix it anywhere in this mnemonic. So I think you will have to remember this yourself. And conducting a thorough survey, checking them by poisoning them. Poisoning them is like infecting the herpes virus into a cell line. Next off, there can also be cell vial technique. This cell vial technique can be associated with checking their history. Now, I know this is a long jump, but it actually helps us associate it and memorize the fact. Finally, there is also the fact that we can see the behavior of the suspected one directly, that is direct viral examination. Now everywhere where I have said is see if there is change. That if stands for immunofluorescence, and finally ELISA stands for ELISA and G stands for glycoprotein G. Now thank you for now. Similarly, there is also the fact that they become fat like a balloon and they die. What does that relate to? Ballooning and crenation. Finally, these were the headings that were not covered, and I recommend that you go through Apurva once even after watching this video so that you don't leave anything and there is no jumble concept in your head. Finally, thank you for watching this video and bye.